I'm 28F, and I've been with my partner Evan, 30M, for a little over 3 years now. We live together, split rent, share a car, have a dog, the whole "this is probably the person I'll marry" setup. I won't say we're perfect, but we've always been good communicators. That's probably why this whole thing has thrown me for such a loop, because I thought we were solid. I thought I trusted him. But now, I genuinely don't know what to think. This all started a few months ago when Evan's best friend Jamie, 29F, came to stay with us for a while. Evan and Jamie have been best friends since college, nearly a decade now. She was between apartments and asked if she could crash with us for a few weeks while she sorted out a new lease. I wasn't thrilled, but I wasn't going to say no. Jamie and I aren't close, but we've always been civil. She's smart, sarcastic, and a little intense, but Evan swears up and down that there's nothing romantic between them. And honestly, I believed him. I still kinda do. At first, everything seemed normal. Jamie kept to herself, helped out with groceries, and even walked our dog when we were both working late. It was fine. But then, little things started to feel off. The first time I noticed it was during dinner. I made pasta, nothing fancy, just a weeknight thing, and Jamie casually mentioned that Evan hates red sauce. Thing is, he doesn't. We've literally gone out for spaghetti at least a dozen times. But when I looked at Evan, he just shrugged and said, "Yeah, I'm not really a fan, babe." Okay, weird. But whatever. Then it was a movie night. I picked something I thought we'd all enjoy, a thriller Evan and I had both been meaning to watch. As soon as I hit play, Jamie rolled her eyes and said, "Ugh, he hates these. Remember that time at Alex's place?" And again, Evan just laughed and said, "She's right, this genre kinda bores me." It kept happening. Little rewrites of who Evan was. What he liked. What we did together. Sometimes it was subtle, like her casually mentioning that Evan didn't really enjoy hiking. We hike all the time. Other times it was bolder, like the night she joked that Evan only pretended to like sushi because of someone, and then looked right at me when she said it. The worst part? Evan never corrected her. Not once. I brought it up to him one night after she'd gone to bed. I tried to be gentle. "Hey, it kinda feels like Jamie's always contradicting me about stuff you like. I just don't get it." Evan looked confused. "She's just joking, babe. You're reading too much into it." Am I, though? Then things started to feel even more personal. I came home from work one evening, and Jamie was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. She looked up and said, completely casually, "Hey, I cleaned out the spice cabinet, it was kind of a mess. Hope that's okay." Okay? That was my cabinet. I've lived here longer than Evan has. I'm the one who cooks most nights. That cabinet was organized. But I didn't want to be the petty girlfriend who got territorial over turmeric. Still, I said something about it to Evan that night. He shrugged and said, "She's just trying to help." I didn't realize it bothered you. So I started writing it all off. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe Jamie was just a little blunt and I was letting it get to me. But then last week, something happened that I can't ignore. It was a Friday night, and Jamie was out with some friends. Evan and I were watching a movie, and out of nowhere, he said, "You know, Jamie mentioned something the other day that kind of surprised me." I paused the movie. "What?" He looked uncomfortable. "She said she noticed you'd been kinda cold to her. Like, distant. And she was worried you don't like her." I blinked. "What? I've literally been nothing but polite." Evan shrugged. "I told her that. I said you're just private, and not super touchy-feely. But still, maybe just try to make her feel a little more welcome?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked him if he felt like I'd been cold or distant. He said no, not at all, but if Jamie's feeling it, maybe it's worth thinking about? I don't know how to describe the feeling. Like I'm being slowly erased in my own home. Like someone's whispering in his ear when I'm not around, rewriting who I am. Twisting everything just enough to make me seem unreasonable or cold or difficult. I haven't said anything since that night. But I've started watching more closely. I've noticed things, the way Jamie always makes sure to be the one who hands Evan his coffee in the morning. The way she interrupts me when I talk about my job, only to pivot the conversation to Evan. The way she uses we when she talks about the past. Remember when we used to do that? We always hated that song. We used to stay up until sunrise. And last night was the worst. Evan left his phone on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. A message from Jamie popped up. She's so clueless, lol. You know she's just trying to trap you, right? I didn't open the thread. I didn't even tell him I saw it. But I haven't been able to breathe properly since. So now I'm here. Writing this. Because I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at anymore. Is Jamie trying to sabotage my relationship? Is Evan blind to it, or worse, is he in on it somehow? Or am I really just overreacting to a few awkward moments? I don't want to be that jealous girlfriend who can't handle her boyfriend having a female best friend. But this doesn't feel like friendship. It feels like something else. And I don't know what to do. I wanted to ask Evan about it. So many times I nearly blurted it out, over breakfast, walking the dog, even while brushing our teeth. But every time I looked at him, I froze. He was just so normal. So relaxed. Laughing at memes, cooking us dinner, kissing my forehead while I loaded the dishwasher. It didn't look like a man being poisoned against me. So I decided to wait. Watch. Collect more before I accuse anyone of anything. I didn't have to wait long. My birthday was last weekend. Evan and I had made plans, dinner at this cozy little Italian place downtown, just the two of us. We don't usually do huge parties or anything, but he always makes me feel special on the day. Or at least, he used to. This year? He forgot. No, I'm not exaggerating. He literally forgot. I woke up early that morning, expecting a kiss, maybe breakfast in bed, at least a happy birthday, babe. Nothing. Evan rolled out of bed, groaned, and said, "Ugh, I have to finish that spreadsheet today." Kill me. I laughed, assuming he was joking. You mean after birthday pancakes, right? He blinked at me. Wait, what? I thought he was still joking. My birthday? Today? His face. I wish I could unsee that face. Blank confusion slowly turning into horror. He started apologizing immediately. Saying work had been hectic, time got away from him, blah blah blah. I didn't even know what to say. I was trying not to cry while holding the dog bowl. He promised he'd make it up to me. Said we'd still do dinner that night. I tried to brush it off. Tried to convince myself it wasn't a big deal. But then Jamie walked into the kitchen. Wearing my robe. Carrying his coffee. And before I could even process it, she said, "Oh, right, happy birthday. Evan told me this morning but I totally spaced it." I just stared. He told her? This morning? But hadn't he just said he forgot? I didn't call him out right away. I was too stunned. The entire day felt like I was outside my own body, going through the motions, smiling when I wanted to scream. Dinner that night was awkward. Jamie insisted on coming along. Said it would be weird to just leave her home alone on a Saturday night. Evan looked at me like, "Is that cool?" And I just nodded, because what else was I supposed to do? So yeah. My romantic birthday dinner turned into a weird third-wheel hangout with a woman wearing my perfume. I am not even kidding, I noticed it and almost lost it. She dominated every conversation, ordered for the table like it was her night, and made multiple references to birthdays Evan had celebrated with her. "Oh, remember your 26th? We were so hungover the next day, I thought we were gonna die. God, I still have pictures from your 28th. That bar crawl was chaotic." He laughed along. I stared at my wine glass, wondering if I'd somehow become invisible. After dinner, she suggested we stop for dessert. Evan agreed. I said I had a headache and wanted to go home. Jamie offered to walk the dog so Evan could stay out a bit longer. I walked home alone on my own birthday. I sat on the couch with our dog curled up next to me, trying not to cry again. Around 11:30, Evan finally came home, no cake, no flowers, just a tired smile and a sorry again, babe. You know I love you, right? I nodded. Then he said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. Jamie told me you seemed upset tonight. She was worried you didn't enjoy yourself. Jamie told him. Like she was the emotional middleman in my relationship. Like I couldn't possibly communicate my own feelings, so she had to deliver the mood report. I'm not crazy, right? This is weird, isn't it? Over the next few days, I kept noticing new things. Jamie had rearranged our bookshelf, my books had been moved to the bottom shelf, while Evan's were front and center. She replaced our throw pillows with some she had in storage because they're more Evan's vibe. She even signed for a package addressed to me and opened it because she thought it was for Evan. And when I confronted her about that, very calmly, by the way, she just laughed. Oops. Thought it was his. My bad. Didn't realize you were so sensitive about your Amazon boxes. I told Evan later, and he said she didn't mean anything by it. She's just, casual like that. Casual? Is that what this is? Because to me, it feels like I'm being slowly replaced. And here's where things get even more messed up. Last night, I came home early from work. Jamie's car wasn't in the driveway, and Evan was on a call in the living room. He didn't hear me come in. I stood in the hallway, completely still, listening to his voice. No, I haven't brought it up yet. She's been tense lately, yeah, I think she suspects something. Then silence. Then, no, I know. I don't want to blow it up unless I'm sure, But yeah, I'm starting to think you were right. He hung up a minute later. I ducked into the bathroom and flushed the toilet, then walked out like I'd just gotten home. He smiled at me like nothing happened. I have no idea who he was talking to. I think I do. But I'm not ready to say it out loud yet. After hearing Evan's call, I couldn't sit still. I kept pacing our bedroom, replaying every word, tone, pause. She's been tense lately. I think she suspects something. Something. That word haunted me. I kept trying to rationalize it, maybe he was talking about work. Maybe she wasn't even me. But deep down, I knew. I knew who she was. And I was starting to figure out who he was talking to. The obvious answer? Jamie. What I couldn't piece together was why. What were they planning? What was I not supposed to know? The next morning, I did something I'm not proud of. I waited until Evan left to take our dog for a walk. Jamie was still asleep, so I tiptoed into the living room and grabbed his laptop. I knew his password, he'd given it to me once when I needed to print something. I told myself I wasn't snooping. I was protecting myself. But really? I was absolutely snooping. His messages were clean. No chats with Jamie beyond their usual jokes and memes. His email? Normal. His call history? Also normal. It was almost too clean. Then I checked his notes app. There it was. A locked note titled, Thoughts on the Move. It needed a password. I tried a few, his birthday, Jamie's birthday, our anniversary. None worked. I was about to give up when something clicked. I typed in Casper, the name of his childhood dog he mentioned once when we first started dating. It opened. It wasn't a to-do list or a draft for work. It was a journal. About me. Some entries were recent. Others dated back months. She's starting to get possessive. I feel like I can't even text Jamie without her side-eyeing me. Jamie says she's just jealous. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what happens when someone feels like they're losing control. I don't know how to bring it up. I care about her, but I'm not sure this is what I want long-term. Jamie said something last night that stuck with me. You shouldn't stay somewhere just because it's comfortable. It hit hard. My throat tightened. I didn't even realize I was crying until tears hit the keyboard. But the last entry was the one that made me want to scream. If she finds out about the plan, she'll flip. But maybe that's for the best. Better a clean break than dragging this out forever. Jamie thinks I need to just do it. The plan. I didn't know what the plan was. But now, I was sure of one thing: Jamie wasn't just a friend. She was actively coaching him through how to end our relationship. And Evan? He was listening. I put the laptop back exactly as I found it. Jamie was still asleep when I left for work early, needing air, needing space. That night, I decided to finally confront Evan. Not about the note, not yet. I wanted to see if he'd admit anything on his own. We were lying in bed. He was scrolling on his phone, totally at ease. I asked, "Do you still want to be with me?" He looked up. Confused. What? Of course I do. Why would you ask that? I didn't blink. Because you don't act like it. He sat up, defensive. Where is this coming from? I told him I felt like a third wheel in my own home. Like Jamie had replaced me in ways he wasn't even noticing, or worse, choosing to ignore. I told him how I felt pushed out of decisions, out of traditions, even out of basic space. His expression shifted, from defensiveness to something almost guilty. I just didn't want to make things weird, he said. Jamie needed a place to stay. I didn't think it had become this huge issue. I asked him again, more directly, "Have you talked to her about me? About ending things?" He hesitated. That silence said more than any words. He finally muttered, "We've talked about stuff." Yeah. I asked, "Are you in love with her?" His head snapped toward me. What? No. God, no. She's just a friend. I'd never crossed that line. I almost believed him. But I remembered the robe. The perfume. The coffee. The notes. And something else, something small that had started to itch at my brain days ago. Evan had a particular keychain, a tiny wooden charm from a trip we took together. He used to keep it on his car keys. Last week, it was suddenly gone. I asked him about it, and he said it must have fallen off. Well, last night, Jamie left her tote bag in the kitchen. It spilled when I moved it to the chair. Guess what was hanging off her keys? The charm. My charm. From our trip. I didn't say anything right then. I tucked it back into her bag, walked to the bathroom, and sat on the edge of the tub staring at the tile. This wasn't just about a roommate overstaying her welcome. This wasn't even about emotional boundaries being crossed. This was intentional. She was slowly taking things from me, my routines, my place in the house, even my memories. And Evan was letting her. The next morning, I called out of work and went to stay with my friend Danny across town. Evan tried to call. I didn't answer. He texted, "Where are you?" Jamie's worried something happened. Please talk to me. Of course Jamie's worried. Later that evening, Danny and I were eating Thai food when she looked at me and said, "You know, I never liked her." I blinked. Jamie? Yeah. From the moment you introduced her. She never looked at you when you talked. Only at Evan. Like you were a placeholder or something. That hit like a punch to the chest. And then Danny said something I hadn't even considered. "Do you think they've already started sleeping together?" After Danny said it, I couldn't sleep. I laid there staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd been so desperate to trust Evan that I ignored what was right in front of me. Maybe I didn't want to believe they'd crossed that line because accepting it would mean everything had been a lie. But Danny's words kept echoing in my head. "Do you think they've already started sleeping together?" I didn't have proof. Not yet. But I was starting to realize I didn't need proof. What Jamie and Evan had built between them, the whispered conversations, the shared smirks, the stolen pieces of our life, it had already crossed every meaningful boundary. The next day, I decided to go back. Not to stay, but to confront. When I walked in, the place was eerily quiet. Jamie's shoes were by the door, Evan's jacket was on the couch, and someone had made coffee, probably with my vanilla oat creamer again. I walked into the bedroom, expecting Evan. Instead, Jamie was there, sitting cross-legged on the bed, scrolling on her phone like she owned the place. She looked up, surprised. "Oh. You're back." No apology. No explanation. Just that. I didn't sit down. I asked her one question, "Are you in love with him?" She blinked. "Excuse me? Don't play dumb. Just answer me." She smirked. That smug, knowing smirk she always had when she thought she'd won something. And then she said it. "Does it matter if I am?" That sentence hit like a brick to the gut. Not just because of the words, but because of how she said them. Calm. Almost bored. Like this had all been inevitable. I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. "Were you ever really my friend?" She looked at me for a moment, then actually laughed. "Oh my God. You still think we were friends? You were convenient. And kind of pathetic, honestly. I didn't steal anything from you. He just realized he could do better." I stood there, frozen. My body didn't know whether to cry, scream, or collapse. She continued like she was reading off a grocery list. "You let people walk all over you. You tiptoe around your own apartment, hoping people like you. You thought being the cool girlfriend would keep him. But he was already gone. He just needed a push." A push. Jamie had been that push. The whole time. Evan came in then, keys in hand, pausing like he walked into the middle of a soap opera. When he saw me, he paled. "You're here." Jamie didn't even flinch. She just said, "We're having a chat." I turned to him, shaking. "How long?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. Looked at Jamie, then back at me. "We didn't mean for it to happen like this." "So it did happen?" A long pause. Then, finally, "Yeah. We've been seeing each other for a few weeks." My stomach dropped. "You were still sleeping with me," I whispered. "You held me and told me nothing was wrong." And she was right there. Jamie stood up, brushing imaginary lint off her leggings. "Look, if this is the part where you throw your stuff in a suitcase and storm off, can you make it quick? I have a Zoom call in an hour." I looked at Evan, expecting, for something. Regret. Guilt. Humanity. He just looked tired. "I'm sorry," he said weakly. "It got complicated." Complicated. No. This wasn't complicated. This was planned. They weren't just falling into each other. They were actively pulling me out of the picture, piece by piece. The plan wasn't about him leaving me, it was about him replacing me. And now it was done. So I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just walked into my room, packed a single bag, and left. No theatrics. No last words. They didn't deserve that kind of performance. It's been 3 weeks. I've moved in with Danny temporarily while I find a new place. I've blocked both of them on everything. No calls. No texts. Nothing. But the weird part? I don't feel broken. I feel clean. It's like walking out of a long, humid room and finally breathing fresh air. I'm still piecing things together, how I let this happen, why I missed the signs, why I held on so long. But I'm starting to realize that the loss isn't mine. They didn't take anything from me. They revealed everything about themselves. And I'm better off not being anywhere near people who mistake manipulation for love and betrayal for empowerment.